our motivations sessions that we do at 237 South Des Plaines. This room is set up to mimic our great room. And so we always do it in a circle. There's no podium where we stand and it'll be very formal, right? So the people behind me get the best view of me. And those in front of you, I apologize for you. But we are here today for our tribute to the stars. We are finally back in person. In 3 years since we've been in person, we had good bacon. Did anybody get good bacon? Yes, thank you. And let me quickly say thank you. I don't see many of them in the room now, but the Radisson Blu staff, thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for making us feel welcome and safe. Thank you. So again, today is our tribute to the stars. This is when we celebrate the real stars of Cara. The real stars, our alumni, the people we serve every day. Yes, thank you, thank you. We will also honor a few of our very important partners. So today you're going to hear from two of our alumni superstars, Keith and Jeanette. Where are they? Are they here? And Jeanette. Here's some very inspiring stories from them. We will hear about how they came to Cara about 5 years ago, how they overcame obstacles, how they came to Cara and found a community that is very supportive, that produced for them the resources, the tools, the skills necessary to be the superstars they are now. So we are excited to hear from both of you today. Thank you. We're also going to honor some of our superstar partners, or my friends from BMO Harris. We're going to honor BMO Harris. We're also going to honor our good buddy Danny Scott. Where's Danny? Hey, Dan. See? Leader in the community. So we've got a lot of fun to have. We will promise you we're going to get you out on time. Yes. There will be more bacon at the end for anybody who wants it, so make sure we get some of that. Now, I have to do a few things. Of course, again, this room is a replica of our room at 237 South Des Plaines. So the energy you feel, the traditions, the way we introduce ourselves, these are things that have been a part of Cara for over 30 years. And we are proud to share them with all of you in our community today. So thank you for being here. I am inspired to be here today, and I want to explain what we do in motivations, right? When we have these motivation sessions, we're in this circle, and we ask our participants to come into the circle, and they generally have to answer a question or two. Today's questions that are in today's motivation sessions are two questions. What goal have you set for yourself to transform your life? What goal have you set to transform your life? Question number one. Question number two, what are you doing to achieve that goal? When we hear from Keith and Jeanette, we will learn more about the goals they've set for themselves and how they've achieved those goals and continue to exceed their own expectations. And as we listen, and as we go back to work later today or wherever we're going, or for those of you who get to work from home, get to go back home and put your pajamas back on, right? At least not the bottom pajamas, right? Think about those questions. What goal have you set for yourself? And what have you done to achieve it? What has inspired you? We're going to hear some inspiring stories. I think back to my experience joining Cara. It's funny that I'm in this building. When I first came to Chicago in 2011, I lived on the 37th floor of the Aqua building. It was my corporate apartment. I worked right over there at Blue Cross. And when I came to Chicago, I said, I have a goal. Certainly I want to do well professionally, I want to take care of my family, I want to do good things, but I also want to get involved in this community. And when I moved to River Forest a year later, I met that good-looking guy right there. His name is Mark Carroll. Mark was a superstar in his own right, and certainly has been a huge contributor to things at Cara. And I attribute both Mark and Bill Conroy, my other good friend, with bringing me to Cara. And that was almost 10 years ago. I've been a board member now for 7 years. I'm also very proud to announce that I am now the incoming board chair. I think that means I just have to give more money. Is that what that means? Okay. Figure that out. So again, I've been inspired by these folks, the work that they do, and I encourage each of you to listen to the stories, think about the questions that we are asking in this motivation session, and find ways within yourself to give to our community and to all the good people that we have in this room. Does that make sense? Thank you, thank you. Quickly, I want to thank some of our sponsors. We have two big levels of sponsors I want to mention. Our jobs sponsors, we have 3 of those. First of all, our friends at BMO Harris Bank, thank you very much. Jackson and the Owens Foundation, thank you very much for your work. We have our opportunity sponsors. There are a few of those, I won't name them. Aon is one of our sponsors. Thank you. The Chicago Bulls. Any Bulls players here? Can we get Benny the Bull? Can we get Benny the Bull here next time? Love his energy. The Conroy family. Thank you, Bill. Lori. Deloitte. Where did I see that? Thank you very much. Molson Coors, giving out free beer at the end of the day. Yes. The Pork family. Where's Steve? I saw Steve. Thank you, Pork family. And Visibly, is Brent in the room? Visibly? Okay, Visibly's another sponsor. Thank you very much. So again, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate your attendance here. Again, we're really excited, Jeanette, to hear from you and from Brother Keith. We want to thank again and celebrate our friends at BMO Harris and good man Danny Scott. Thank you very much. And again, we're here for a reason. We're here to celebrate. We are here to show tribute to the stars. And we are finally in person. Tara would be upset with me. Where's Tara? Tara, our brand new Cracker Jack Chief Philanthropy Officer. Tara would be upset with me if I didn't also mention that there are envelopes on your chairs. There is a QR code on the back of your program. You are not required to give a penny. You are required to sing when Jesse's up here. But you are not required to give a penny. But when you hear the messages today, when you feel the energy in this room, if you aren't inspired to give, you aren't paying attention. Is that fair? I don't care if it's $25 or $25,000 or 25 hours of your time. Right, Tara? Time, talent, treasure, Tara. I see all these T's. Yes. Tribute. So again, we encourage you to give. We are so grateful that you are here. Let's have fun today. As we say in Cara, let's make it a great day. Yes? All right.
Please welcome Joe Muta.
Good morning, Cara Collective. Good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Joe Muta. Hey, Joe. Motivate me. What? That's my friend. I have the privilege of serving as Cara's Chief Business Development Officer, and today I have the honor of presenting our first award, the Good Neighbor Award. So the Good Neighbor Award is typically awarded to an organization whose partnership has helped spread Cara's impact and reach. And looking around the room, that there are some past recipients, but I couldn't think of a better and more deserving organization than BMO Harris Bank. Now, even though we're recognizing BMO today, this has actually been a long-standing partnership. Now, 14 years. In 14 years, we've seen almost 4 dozen jobs and about $390,000 invested into our mission. Beyond the jobs and dollars, though, they're also an active part of our Cara community. They're involved in sponsoring events. They are involved with corporate service days. They're just on our boards, the executive council, just a wonderful partner all around. And I am so privileged that I've gotten a chance to work with them even more extensively the last couple of years. So a little bit before the pandemic, BMO reached out to us and said they wanted to expand their partnership with Cara. They wanted to learn how they could do more great work, how they could be an inclusive employer, understanding that that work is tough. It takes time, it takes attention, it takes dedication, and they stepped up to the plate. I think there's no better example of this than our workforce development program, Be More. Now, for those that don't know what Be More is an initiative to create more access into jobs and opportunities within banking and finance. Before Be More, I think the largest number of financial services placements Cara ever had in a year was about 5. And just in the first year alone, Be More blew that out of the water. The great thing about the program, though, is it was co-created all the way throughout, and most importantly, it elevated the voices of our participants. What I mean by that is our participants got to speak on the job description. Could they see themselves in these roles? They got to inform on what they needed to know to feel confident going into the world of banking. And BMO created a day in the life just so they could feel and understand the different goals and metrics and what a typical day in a bank would look like. Talent that had not considered banking before all of a sudden was really, really energized and excited. And we started off with a couple of communities. We started off with Little Village, and we started off with Austin in support of the mayor's Southwest Initiative. But we've expanded now, and we've grown, and it's just wonderful. It's beautiful to see so many people attracted into a fantastic career. Many of the individuals that are now leaders in the organization started off in the same roles that our participants are landing. And the work continues. That's not easy. We've had our bumps, but we continue to push through. And, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, you would have thought that we would have ramped things down. It would have been understandable, right? The world was torn upside down. But BMO actually doubled down, and that's when we did our greatest work. We had regular meetings, we had focus groups with our participants. Was this still something they wanted to do? And the resounding answer was yes. And so we forged along. And now we're in this beautiful space. So I could not be more happy to present our 2022 Good Neighbor Award to BMO Harris Bank. Thank you, BMO, for being a believer in our mission.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. You guys must know how happy I am not to be singing. I would clear the room if I did that. But good morning. Great for me to be here with all of you and to accept the Good Neighbor Award on behalf of BMO Bank. From all of us at the bank, a heartfelt thank you for the award. Now, I've heard that you guys were going to be getting out on time, but I have like 45 minutes of notice. So buckle up, because we're going to be here a long time. No, I'm only kidding. I'm Bernard Noreen, the Regional President and Head of Retail Banking for Chicago South at BMO Harris Bank. Earlier on, your board chair talked about some questions that you will hear from folks today. And I thought it would be appropriate to share, just for a minute, some goals that I set for myself in the beginning of the year. So in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, like all of us, were compelled to act in our own way. And so that work has continued, but this year, I thought I would take it to a different level, more around, and this is a bit emotional for me because of my journey, right? More around how we get our people ready for career opportunities and progression, right? What does it mean, particularly for everyone, but particularly for our Black and African American and Brown colleagues. What does it mean to feel that an opportunity to progress in your career is a right? It's not a privilege, right? And so that work is particularly difficult because you have to change probably centuries old of mindsets, right? So that's the first piece. And then it's about access, right? What are the tools and resources, once you determine where you want to be and where you want to go, what are the tools and resources available to you so that you can have access? So that's the work, that's the goal I set for myself. How am I doing it? With all these great people from BMO every day, sometimes on the side of my desk, sometimes at 7 o'clock at night, but every day since that commitment was made, I try not to leave without doing something towards that. So, if you hear a little bit of emotion in my voice, it's real because in my role and being who I am, it's critically important that people see what is possible, right? What is possible. And I don't take that very lightly. So, to the next 45 minutes. All right, so today I want to especially recognize Cara Collective and the incredible work that you all do to tackle our community's most challenging problems. We've all seen for the last 14 years the great work you've done. You've set the bar very high for all of us to follow in our life's work and in our professional work. Right? Nearly 2 years ago, you heard BMO started the program with Cara Collective called Be More. This is an effort that we put together to recruit, train, and hire folks and put them into our associate banker program. Right? So it is one of the ways that we continue to give back to the community and create opportunities for folks who perhaps never thought they would work in the financial industry. I want to read a couple of stories, right, from the managers of some of our BMO folks, because this is really what it's all about, right? And so, this is emotional as well, but don't walk away thinking I'm an emotional guy. This is just, don't let that get out, right? So the first person I want to talk about is Mercy Lara. She's an associate banker at our Uptown branch. Her manager says the following: she defines the concept of above and beyond through her everyday actions. Whether she's taking ownership of our branch operations and leading by example, or simply being brilliant at the basics with every customer interaction. She continues to prove herself to be an asset to her branch and my team. BMO clients frequently comment on how welcome they feel when Mercy warmly greets them. We hear her using their name, and she's genuinely curious about their lives when she sparks conversation with them. I am happy to tell you guys that 2 days ago, Mercy celebrated her first anniversary with us on October 25th. Connection point. She's going back to school for her bachelor's, right? The next person I want to talk about is Anthony Daniels. Anthony started with us in April of this year and is already irreplaceable, said his manager, right? In fact, she says that Anthony is an asset to her branch, a true team player, and she wishes she could clone him. Anthony goes out of his way to help our elderly customers and give them the red carpet treatment. Our colleagues have observed him run outside to open the door for them, and he immediately creates that connection of trust that's so important with our seniors, right? This is really, truly nice to hear. I have an 88-year-old mother. When she goes to the bank, I hope she meets an Anthony, right? But she goes on to say he continues to amplify the customer experience model in his own unique way. That's code for saying we have a model, he takes it and makes it his own, right? And then she talks about the customers often giving us feedback that how great a job he's doing and how much they've appreciated his time. They're such incredible stories and more. I just shared before we got up here that we're on the cusp of one of our Be More employees actually moving into management. She raised her hand. So I'm a bit superstitious, so I'm not going to share her name, but she raised her hand and expressed an interest in management, and the team there at the Villas, our market president, worked with her, and she is ready for that opportunity. She would be the first Be More candidate that is leading a sales and service team at Be More. How amazing is that, right? So in closing, right, we celebrate our two-year anniversary of Be More, and more than 4 dozen jobs, as you heard. A top priority for our company continues to be the relationship we have with our communities and giving back to those communities. You heard that we started in Chicago and we've extended now to Madison and our Milwaukee markets. And I am confident that going forward, many of our branches will experience more Be More candidates as they come through. Thank you all for the award on behalf of Be More. Thank you.
Good morning, Cara community and guests. Good morning. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Katie. Hey, Katie, what baby, what? That's my friend. On behalf of the Owens family, I have the honor and privilege of presenting the Thomas M. Owens Mission Award to Danny Scott, a true servant whose relentless dedication to Cara is as big as his heart. Our dad, Tom Owens, founded this beautiful mission over 32 years ago. Dad saw that there was a real problem in Chicago. Talented folks who face challenges like poverty, homelessness, lack of opportunities and resources were often overlooked in the workforce. He realized these resilient men and women needed a friend, or as they say in Gaelic, a cara. He set out by going to shelters, working one-on-one with motivated men and women, helping them find good jobs with his connections at Chicago companies. Today, more than 8,000 men and women have been placed in quality jobs. Cara has affiliates in 2 cities. Clean Slate is in over 50 communities. Cara Connects is bringing our services to new neighborhoods. And Cara Plus is advocating for inclusive hiring all over the country. And we are just getting started. Dad was relentless in his pursuit of helping others unlock the potential in themselves. But he knew he couldn't do it alone. A community like Cara takes a dedicated staff, loyal corporate partners, and committed volunteers, many of whom are here today. So I want to thank all of you for helping to bring Dad's vision to life. Danny Scott embodies so many of the qualities of our dad. He came to Cara 10 years ago wanting to be a part of something bigger than himself. Danny felt passionate about the mission, and when he attended his first motivations, he said he felt that Cara magic. Danny joined the Young Professionals Network, the Associate Board, and within a few years, he was nominated president. Under his leadership, he grew this group to become what is easily the best and most dedicated Associate Board in Chicago. Woo! He cultivated a group of more than 24 emerging leaders. He created an impactful board structure, and he set the example of being a true ambassador to this mission. In this role, he also laid the groundwork for the Summer Social. Who's been at the Summer Social? This is the Associate Board's annual fundraiser event, and it's more than just a party. And through Danny's leadership, he motivated and inspired the Associate Board to give their all in producing a truly one-of-a-kind evening. Next year will be the Summer Social's 10th annual event, and it has grown to become Cara Collective's second highest revenue-generating event. And I might add, it's a ton of fun. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. Great food, great people. When I asked Danny why the Associate Board has been so successful, he said, and I quote, Working together, we accomplish so much more than we can as individuals, and it shows. But Danny did not just stop there. He brought along other members of his community. His dad, who is here with us today, mentors participants by helping them get ready for interviews and making sure their resumes reflect their strengths and experience. So thank you, Mr. Scott. Through his work as a senior principal at Slalom, Danny has paved the way for a strong partnership with the Cara community. Slalom has quickly embedded themselves in Cara, volunteering in the professional clothing room, doing mock interviews with participants, sponsoring our events, and finding other innovative ways to support this mission. It really is a beautiful thing when corporations live out their values in the community, and we are so grateful for your partnership, Slalom. We're Slalom. 3 years ago, our dad passed away, and the morning of the service, Father Tom Hurley told a large crowd gathered at Old St. Pat's, "It's time for the next generation to step up and carry the mantle of service to others." And Danny, you've done just that. Danny is a leader who rolls up his sleeves and digs in. He understands the important role of being a board member. He supports staff and participants. He cares deeply, and under his leadership, everyone is engaged, everyone has a voice, and everyone has a job to do. Danny, you truly embody the spirit of our dad through your community building, your forming of meaningful connections, and your dedication to this mission. And we know you are just getting started. For your dedication and leadership to the Cara Collective community.
Wow. All right, well, one more time. Good morning, Cara Collective and guests. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danny.
Hey, Danny, motivate me, what? That's my friend.
It feels good to be back, right? I think 2019 was the last time we were in this room together, so it's awesome to be here. So like I said, my name is Danny Scott. I'm so incredibly thrilled to be this year's recipient of the Thomas M. Owens Mission Award. I have to tell you, this is the biggest honor I could ever receive, and I am so thrilled to be receiving it. I truly feel so incredibly grateful to receive the award that's named after the man that really started this all. But before I go there, I was told to tell my story a little bit and talk about what got me on this stage here today. So growing up, my wonderful parents, who you just met a second ago, they taught me and my sister the value of a community and giving back to that community. And so through high school, mission trips, through college, volunteerism, and kind of coming out of that, I really value that mutual support of a community and what that brings. But then coming to the city after school, I got my first adult job. And I started to commit myself to my work. And while I did really enjoy what I did, I was burying myself into my work, I started to feel something missing. And it was that gap of giving myself personally to something and not just professionally. So I started to explore the Chicago philanthropic scene to get that feeling back. And I saw a lot of incredible organizations, but nothing that really pulled at my heartstrings and made me want to feel a part of that community. That is until I saw Cara. 11 years ago, Executive Council member Chris Ryan, he's a longtime advocate of the cause and someone who I work very closely with, invited me to come see Motivations. Deborah Michaels, who's here today, coming all the way from Brooklyn, was there to meet me and gave me I saw Motivations and she gave me the tour, and right after that, that was it. I kind of think at this time I was kind of like a kid in the kitchen trying to help your mom, where they didn't really know what to do with me and I didn't know what I could do. And so I'm bugging Deborah every couple days, seeing what I can do. We did a bunch of onesie-twosie events together. I think we worked a booth in Wicker Park, and just a lot of really fun, silly stuff. And it was one day she told me, we're launching this associate board, and had already been going for about 2 years, maybe 3, and she asked if I wanted to join. Of course, that's exactly what I did. So I hopped on this amazing team with some amazing people, and really got sorry Sloan, the best job I've ever had. The following year, through some of the folks that was on the associate board through their pressure, so Amy Wolcott, Sean and Molly Leitner, Candace Walker, through the pressure of them, I became the associate board president, telling them that I'm not doing this alone, we have to do it together. Over the next 3 years, we created a team of extremely passionate and dedicated young professionals that were all centered around one thing, and that was the mission to eradicate poverty here in the Chicago area, and that's that mission of Cara. I am so proud of everything that we've done in so many ways. We've elevated the summer social every year to the $250,000 event it is now. Shout out Charlie. We created new connections for people to get involved with Cara in different ways. And we created a culture that centered itself around the organization and advancing that mission through enabling not only the participants, but the incredible staff as well. And lastly, we built amazing relationships. I had the opportunity to work with 30+ incredibly talented individuals on the associate board who weren't doing this job for any other reason than that we cared. Every single person who was on that board made an impact on me, and you all know who you are, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. You have done so much for Cara and so much for me as well, so thank you all. And while we did do a lot and push the needle where we could, at the end of the day, we felt that our job was to do our best to enable the real heroes, which are the Cara staff. While we commit our time and our passion to this amazing cause, the staff commits their lives to this. And it's really our opportunity to work with them and learn from them. And I've had that opportunity to work with so many incredible people and the heroes that are truly driving this change in Chicago that we see. So, just to name a few people, I was going to ask you to stand, you can raise your hand a little bit, but, and I would like you guys, if you could please not hold your applause and applaud the whole time through. So, the people are Deborah Michaels, Audrey Cofer, Casey Kelly, Amy Boone, Shippa Jane, Jesse Tarvar, Alina Agarwal, Mark Turisky, Claire Rory, Robin Elkay, Maria Kim, and of course, Tom Owens. Thanks, guys. Thank you all for everything that you've done for me and this amazing organization. I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you all. Talking to you, Mark. So now, 6-7 years down the road, I've done the associate board. I passed it off to the amazing Cordelia Seidel, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, now what? And I love this organization so much, and I want to do whatever I can to help it succeed. And how can I do that? And I see it standing right in front of me in the amazing organization, Slalom. Yes, please. I thought you would embarrass me. Just kidding. Through the amazing work of Slalom Partners for Good and the leadership of Dana Anderson, we created a partnership that didn't only sponsor fundraising support, but we also invested our time and our talents to create meaningful experiences for the Cara community, partnering with both the staff and participants alike to use our joint skills to create a better future. So thank you so much to the folks at Slalom for always encouraging me to give myself to something I love and really for the opportunity to bring these two amazing organizations together. So thank you to Slalom. All right, so I'm at the end here, so I stand here now not knowing why I should be so blessed to receive this award that shares the name of the person that has impacted so many people's lives, including mine. Part of me does not feel I deserve this award, because this whole last 11 years of working with Cara has really been a gift from Tom already. He already gave me something that has changed my life forever. What he has given me and given all of us is this community. A community that isn't focused on how we can help them, but how we are all stronger together. A community that knows that everyone falls down sometimes, and we need to be there to pick each other up. So I will end this with 2 final thoughts, or some advice, I would say. But first, find something you care about and give it your all. And try to do it without any agenda. What made my experience with Cara so meaningful is that everything we did was driven by how we cared so much. And that love and passion alone was capable of accomplishing anything. Second, as Katie alluded to from her father's service a few years back, when she mentioned that quote to me a few weeks back, I was taken aback. Everything you said was so meaningful to me, but it's big shoes to fill. Tom Owens was an incredible man. But thinking about that, you're absolutely right. The next generation is here to carry that torch that Tom left us. And I know, Tom, you're watching us here today, having worked with so many amazing people for over a decade now. I know that this organization is in good hands. And we will carry that torch for you and for this generation and generations to come. So like you said, Katie, we're just getting started. And with that, I'm not going to sing, but thank you all for this award. Thank you all for this community. I love you all. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Please welcome back to the stage, Jesse Terry.
Good morning, Cara. Good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Jesse.
Hey, Jesse, motivate me, what? That's my friend.
You want to see what we can do? Bernard, you don't have to worry about going over. That's my job. I'm usually the one that tells, please wrap it up, Jesse. Wrap it up, wrap it up. So before we get started, first, I know Katie mentioned it as well. Let's all give Mr. Tom Owens a round of applause. That's what we got all here today. So, let me see a show of hands. How many of you are familiar with Cara's morning motivations? Raise your hands. About 50% of the crowd. So we got maybe 50% who don't understand and know what we do. As Todd mentioned before, this is how we start our morning, every morning at Cara, is morning motivations. If you kind of think of it in any entity, anything we've ever done, this is kind of the same type of thing we do to create community, create family, create friends. Even in your homes, when you want to connect with your family, if you've been away, where do you meet around? The kitchen table, the dining room table, right? If you play sports, what's the most sacred place on a football is that huddle, when they huddle up, or in that locker room, right? When I was a Boy Scout and a Cub Scout, the best times that I had was sitting around a campfire, meeting and getting to know and telling stories with my fellow troop members and things like that. That's what we do at Cara every single morning. We kind of block out that noise. We block out that outside stuff. We block out all of that sugar, honey, iced tea. Anybody know what sugar, honey, iced tea means? If people next to you don't know, let them know. Block out that sugar, honey, iced tea just so we can kind of get motivated, just so we can shake off the funk, so we can kind of get at the business at hand of transforming our lives. And again, it might be, a lot of people came up here and the speakers and said, I ain't gonna sing and they tell you what they not gonna do. Well, when you get to Cara, you don't get that privilege to say what you ain't gonna do. I know it's scary. We understand that too. You know what the most scariest thing that people say when they say, do you ask them what the scariest thing in the world is? Public speaking. It is number one over death. People are afraid of public speaking before they're afraid of dying. So when you come to Cara, you can kind of get over and attack some of those fears. You can kind of conquer the world. That half an hour that we spend in the morning, you go out with your chin up and your shoulders around it, and you're ready to conquer the world and all those challenges that we're actually there for. So that's kind of what we do every morning and what you're going to witness. Also, too, I love this event because this is the one true event every year that we really recognize why we do all of this hard work. And that is Tribute to the Stars. And those are for the participants who actually run this engine. All of this hard work that I don't get staff, the volunteers, the funders, the employment partners, it's for a reason. And again, you're going to meet some of them people. Usually every time Tribute to the Stars, I have to get a little theme, a little story to kind of connect all of it together for it to make sense. So I want to leave you with this story before I bring up our first speaker. And the name of this story is The Starfish Story. Anybody heard the Starfish Story? Good. Well, you guys want to bust my butt. So here's the story, real quick. There was a gentleman who was walking down the shores of the beach early one morning. And he was walking down the shores, and in the distance he could see this little boy. And this little boy was just bending down and throwing things back into the sea. And he was just bending down, throwing things back into the sea. And he said, I wonder what the little boy is throwing back into the sea. And he kind of walked a little farther and tried to catch up with the little boy. And he finally caught up with the little boy. And he said, son, what are you doing? And the little boy looked up at him and said, don't you see all these starfish? They've been washed up on the sea, and I'm throwing them back in the sea. If I don't throw them back in the sea, they'll die. And the man said, but there's thousands of them. How can you possibly make a difference? There's thousands of them. And the little boy just looked up at him, and he bent over and picked up another starfish, and he threw it back into the sea. And he looked up at the man and said, it made a difference to that one. And the old man looked up and he said, And all he did was bend down and pick up a starfish and threw it back into the sea. That's what this event here today is for each one. We can save and change the world one person at a time. And we're going to meet a couple of those people that we have helped change their worlds. And the first person I'm going to bring up to the stage is Miss Jeanette.
Good morning, Cara. Please say yes. Good morning. Those that don't know me, my name is Jeanette.
Hey, Jeanette, motivate me, what? That's my friend.
The topic today is Tribute to the Stars is what goals have you set to improve your life? What are you doing to achieve this goal? Okay, I have 5 goals. The first goal, stay sober. My second goal, retirement. I'm going to move into a senior citizen building. I'm going to get that red Subaru Outback. And I'm going to spend that great quality time with my 18 grandbaby that God bless me with. Okay. Now, if you would have asked me 5 years ago what I would wanted in my life, I would have said to get sober. Between 2015, the early part of 2016, December, I went to Lafayette trying to change my life. I lost 4 jobs within that time then. And I used to work at Walgreens for 15 years. And before other jobs, decades. So I knew something was wrong. I had a problem, and I needed help. My sister-in-law brought me back from Lafayette, Indiana, and brought me back to Chicago where I was born. And I wanted some help. And I asked my kids, could they help me? They told me there were 3 places, but all I needed was one. And that one is Sister House. Because I know I needed the structure, I wanted to stay sober and I needed the tools. And in Sister House, one of the requirements is to participate in Cara. Cara is not just a job ready program, but it gets you ready to connect back to society. So, I went to Cara. Love Cara. Then I knew I wanted to get back independent. My independence back. I wanted a job again. Y'all know what? I got that job. That job I went down for 5 years is called Advocate Illinois Masonic. What I do there is environmental service, EVS, housekeeping. But I love my job. I love people. Whenever day on the weekend here, I walk past someone and say, "How you doing? Happy Monday. Have a great, safe, blessed, beautiful morning." And I put a smile on their face. That's gonna take them to the next person and say the same thing. But one day I got home, I had a letter from the Social Security Board. It told me that I, Jeanette now, can do an early retirement at 62. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about retiring right now. But then I thought about it. I've been a mother to my kids, a parent to my kids, I raised my kids, and now my kids are raising my grandkids. My oldest granddaughter, she is fit to graduate out of college next month! Another one, she is fit to start college next year. I mean, yeah, 62 is young to retire early, but I did what I had to do. Some of those kids I had even been born when I started working. So I figured, my goal, that's my goal. I'm done. Now they're gonna raise their kids. I'm gonna sit back. You know what I'm gonna do? Stay sober, retire. I ain't gonna say senior citizen, I'm saying independent living. Get that red Subaru Outback. And why you ask a Subaru? Because they say it's safer for senior citizens. Number one. And then some of those grandkids that don't live here, and with the one that's here, we're gonna get on that Outback and we're gonna go see them. And with that, do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever, forever young? I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever? Come on, y'all, pretend forever young. I wanna be forever young.
Good morning, Cara. Good morning. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Keith Mason.
Hey, Keith. No, baby, what? That's my friend.
Before I begin, I'd like to thank the partners for your selfless service. Who would have known that the vision of your father would touch someone like me, right? And the topic for the day is, what goals have I set for myself and what am I doing to achieve them? answering that question because I only had one goal when I reached the point in my life that I couldn't go any further living the way that I live. See, because I traveled through a torturous existence of using drugs. I mean, I fought and lost an exhausting battle with substance abuse. The only thing that I wanted to do was stop using drugs, but I couldn't stop. I could not stop. I mean, despite of everything was happening in my life, and even though the drugs had brought me to my knees, I could not stop. So my goal was to stop using. So I got clean. And when I got clean, I was introduced to Cara. And my goals changed. But what I didn't know was that the disease of addiction that I suffered from had affected every area of my life. Despite of me wanting to be employed, the desire to change the direction of my life, I just didn't know how to get there. Thank God for Cara. Right? Thank God for Cara. Right? The gratitude comes from being amongst a special group of people that had the ability to meet me where I was at and reintroduce me to humanity. Because living skills was reduced to an animal level. In and out of prison, facing society as a hostile environment, believing that everybody owed me something, chasing this something, and I didn't even know what it was. So when I got to Cara, I wanted a job, but it was a process. So that was my goal. I didn't know the meaning of motivation. I was angry, I was fearful, I was resentful, I was experiencing that feeling of inadequacy and had lost the ability to communicate that. So every decision that I made, it wasn't a well-thought decision because I was still acting on impulse, out of fear. Wanted something, didn't know how to get to it, had trust issues. But my goal changed once I came to believe that I can stay clean, I can become employable, and I had to surrender to the process. I had to let people help me despite of my trust issues. I had to have people sit down and talk to me and tell me that it was gonna be all right. So I achieved those goals, but it was difficult. You know, when you're suffering in silence, right? When your overly sensitive ego won't allow you to ask for the help because you're telling yourself that you're not worthy. But you want to be a part of something, but you just don't know how to get there. Talking about when you're isolated from yourself. I'm talking about when you're dying inside. But thank God for you guys, right? All you guys that invested in a guy like me. Because as a result of going through that initial process, through motivation, making me feel a part of something, it wasn't foreign anymore. So that was my goal, to start feeling human again, right? Once I started to feel human again, I could start working on thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. I started to work with different entities in Cara. I mean, it was a rocky road. They said, okay, Keith, you want a job, we're gonna give you a shot with clean slate. But I hadn't addressed my attitude issues. So when I went to clean slate, I got fired the first day. because of my attitude, my behavior. I wasn't open-minded. I did not know how to respond to authority figures because I had became used to rebellion. I'm constantly rebelling. It was something about me that always rebelled against the truth because it was foreign. I didn't know what it looked like. I did not know what the help looked like. But Cara didn't give up on me. Cara sent me to the south side. Cara. And as a result of that, I started to work with the staff. They started to pour into me, and my goals started to shift. And my goals started to shift and to change because I was put in a position to allow new ideas to flow into me. There had to be some new ideas. I got introduced to a career specialist. Rita started working with me. Got introduced to Elaine. She started believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Jesse was always the behind-the-scene guy asking how I was doing. And I'm trying to paint this picture where the human connection came about. When I started to feel human and I started to find the confidence to reconnect with society and be taught these things because I didn't know. I didn't know one of my assets was just not knowing. That was the goal. Keith, it's all right not to know. See, because if you say you don't know, that means you remain teachable. You can be taught some things. But as a result, I became employed. One of my first jobs was Empire Hard Chroming. I went there, it wasn't the ideal job, but it was the ideal job for where I was in my life. It did what it did. Paid the bills. When I got here, I was homeless, helpless, useless. Right? So now I'm employed. So now I'm coming to believe that I can sustain employment. And then the pandemic came. Rocked my world. Caught COVID. Caught COVID, went to the hospital, came home. The direct result of COVID, I had to go into surgery because I had obtained blood clots. But Cara still reached out and pulled into me and said, the most important thing is that you get yourself together, Keith, and we're going to have better opportunities for you. But just let us know when you get on your feet. So my goal then was to stay employed. So I got on my feet and I did communicate. I thought I was feeling better. When I wasn't better, I went back to work and my wound got infected. So I had to go to another surgery. So when I went to another surgery, I got out and they said, just get on your feet. Thank God for Kathy Stokes. They kept reaching out for me. Thank you, Kelly. Because you guys reached out and let me know I was a part of something that was bigger than me. When I came out, I had the opportunity, when I got on my feet, I was employed with the job that I have today. I'm with Habitat, right? I'm a union worker, make sustainable wages, could afford a life worth living. As a result of Cara working with the financial coach, I came in with a credit score of 400. My credit score is 765. 3 months ago, I sat down at the kitchen table, right? Did what normal people do, looked at their budget. As a result of that, I was able to make a big decision. I just went and bought the 2022 Lincoln Corsair. Never had a car with a heated steering wheel, right? From where I come from. But what goals do I have today is to continue to understand that staying clean must come first. If I cannot stay clean, there is no employment, right? To maintain a healthy living for myself, to continue to provide a substantial bank account, right? Because you need money to survive and live. I didn't understand the importance of feeding yourself, clothing yourself, sheltering yourself, when you always look for someone else outside of you to do that. Thank God for accountability and responsibility, something that Cara accorded to me, right? My other goal is to continue to put myself in a position to pay what you guys has poured into me forward. And that's why I thank you guys for your selfless service. And as a result of that, right, what Cara have done for me, I've had the opportunity of working with Habitat to work for some of the temporary employees that came through Cara. What better person to pour back in the My biggest goal is just to continue to do what I do, to be responsible and accountable in my life, be an example for those who come after me, and let them know that we do find hope, right? Because before I came here, I was living with no hope. I found hope today. No matter what I feel like, no matter what I'm going through, I wake up and do it all over again. So with that said, I'm not a great singer, but never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see that you was there for me. Yeah, thank you guys.
Please welcome the President and CEO of Cara Collective, Kathleen St. Louis Caliente.
Good morning, Cara Collective and guests.
Good morning.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathleen St. Louis Caliente.
Hey, Kathleen, motivate me, but that's my friend.
I thank you so much for being here. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of serving as President and CEO of Cara Collective. And as you've heard this morning, the question of the morning is, what goal have you set to improve your life, and what are you doing to achieve it? One of the goals that I set to improve my life started over 20 years ago. And that goal was to become a runner. And there was only one problem: I hated running. But the truth was, I needed running. So, think back to the days of, I was a broke kid, pretty broke, going to school, living on a 6th floor walk up in New York City. My mother was in California. I was estranged from my father, some years of domestic violence there, and was feeling alone and had a lot of anxiety about making rent, getting food at home, and paying my tuition. And I knew that I was somebody who bottled a lot of my anxiety inside, internally. And the way for me to release that, I knew, was physical movement. But I didn't have money for fancy gyms. I didn't have money for a trainer. I didn't have money for all of these things. So that's why I needed to run. So I tried to get out there every day, slowly but surely. But I hated it. I plodded through it. I would get up to 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, plodding through and hating it. And I realized that the only way that truly I was going to achieve this goal was by speaking it into existence. And so I did what any normal person who hates running would do, was I told my friends and family that I was going to run the New York City Marathon. And every day I got out there committing to training, running a little bit more, physically and mentally tough. There are days I didn't want to be out there. And when I think back to earlier this month when I ran my 7th marathon, it was truly, truly incredible to be out there. It was by no means my fastest marathon. I always joke I'm not Kenyan or Ethiopian. My background is actually Haitian, so it's not going to be a podium finish for me. But truly, it was one of the mentally strongest, and one of the ones that I was most proud of. And it was because I was still doing this thing that I had committed to over 20 years ago. And I built a community of folks who were holding me accountable and knew that I was too proud not to complete the thing once I said it out loud, right? And as I was out there really truly taking it in Chicago, running the Chicago Marathon, I was so inspired to see some of the human spirit that was on display from my fellow runners. I saw a blind runner who was attached to somebody with a string, and that person was running with them mile after mile. I saw a couple of folks with prostheses who were stumbling their way through mile after mile, and when they needed to, had someone there to lean on and to support them as they continued on their journey. And when I think about what was on display there, the insurmountable odds, and I just want to say, I mean, when I think about Jeanette and Keith, thank you so much for coming up here and sharing your great stories. Because when you think about the odds, the insurmountable odds that folks face to complete and improve their lives and complete their goals, I think this is what Cara is about, right? When I saw these runners who were trying to overcome these barriers to their life, the community that is there every step of the way, this is Cara Collective. And so we're so, so thrilled that you are here as part of our community. Since the very beginnings of our mission, as Katie mentioned, our incredible founder, Tom Owens, he used to go shelter to shelter, helping connect individuals to job opportunities. And now to over 8,000 people who are in quality jobs across the city of Chicago and beyond. It's incredible. It's about the people that we serve, this mission. It's about the community that we built. It's about our job seekers, like Keith and Jeanette. It's about folks who come to us on a journey, and folks who are saying, what is it going to take? What do I need? And you need a community to help you overcome those odds. What is it going to take to transform my life? And we help them understand the power and purpose that comes from employment. So, but it's not just about them, right? As I mentioned, it's the community, right? It's our staff. It's our volunteers. It's our incredible partners like Remo Harris and Danny Scott. And it's the many, many others here and beyond that are committed to walking alongside us, our journey, and the journey of our job seekers every single day. There is power in this community, and when we hold each other's hands and walk across that finish line together, it is that much more satisfying. So one more thing, like Keith and Jeanette did, and like I did 20 years ago, like many of you have done, we set another goal to improve our existence here at Cara Collective. And recently, some of you may have heard that we published a 3-year strategic plan. Access, equity, opportunity. This is a plan where we honor where we have been. We are so excited about where we're going. We identify what it's going to take to get there and what we need to do to help increase the impact that we've had on the lives of our participants. It's an exciting turning point. We're not just entering a new chapter, but we're making a commitment to what is possible. We're doubling down on our mission to center our programs truly in what our participants need. Not what we think they need, but what they tell us they need. We're going deeper, both within ourselves, within our organization, but with our partners, to examine truly what it means to frame our work in equity. And we're crafting more opportunities to help our participants transform their lives, the lives of their families, and their communities. So you can read Access, Equity, and Opportunity through that QR code. So scan that QR code if you haven't yet. But you can also read it on our website, caracollective.org. And whether you're new to Cara or a longtime friend and partner, we hope that you are just as excited, inspired, and motivated as we are about what lies ahead and helping us to make this goal a reality. So one last thing before we take it home this morning. Yes, of course, this event is a fundraiser. We're always grateful, and you should see more phones scanning QR codes. We're always grateful to take your financial investment. But there's so much more to be done, right? Your presence here this morning, obviously, is such an important start. But I truly ask you to invest in access, invest in equity, invest in opportunity, invest by opening up more career pathways in your firms, invest by switching the perception of our job seekers and the value that they can add to any organization. Invest in showing up for us, whatever that means for you. And of course, invest in helping us fuel a courageous national movement. So thank you again for joining us this morning. Jesse, come on up and help us take home.